So I guess this is part 2 because my alarm came on, stopped my video, and I'm not in the mood to edit because, you know, I've done the YouTube thing, and we'll get to that bit as well. I've done the YouTube thing. I have. So I don't really feel like I want to put a lot of effort into it anymore. I'm just telling my story, you know, and maybe my daughters will watch this years from later. My daughter will watch this, you know, years from now or something, you know, if she has to go through a struggle, I don't know, who knows. So anyways, you know, I worked at, when I moved on my own, I worked at the warehouse still, and then I worked at Dollar General. They weren't paying me enough to, like, make a dent in anything, you know, but it was a little extra income, so I was like, it's okay. It's early in the morning. I haven't brushed my teeth yet, so please don't mind me. But yeah, so I worked at Dollar General to kind of like make a little extra income and ends meet, and it was cool. But then eventually my warehouse job ended up giving me a raise, and you know, they kept giving me a raise. They gave me a raise so much by the time I left there, I was making, you know, $21 an hour. So, that is the work life. Now, in the midst of there, I was working there for about 5 years. In the midst of that, I had like 2 guys. So I had one guy that I had known. We had like talked for like 3 months, but he breadcrumbed me a lot, and he had multiple girls, it seemed like, because we lived like 5 minutes away from each other, and he would just randomly text me like 1 week out the blue and say like, what you doing, and just want me to come over just to lay with him. So I'm like, you're not laying with me, so I know you got to be laying with somebody else. And then the time that we tried to do it, like my you know, my moo baby, she would get dry. Like, oh, what is this? Get this out. And I mean, I've never been that dry before, but it got to a point where I was just like, and I feel like my spirit was like, no. So when that happened, let me see. When that happened, you know, eventually, you know, I just kind of got tired of him too. But at the same time, you know, I was on a date. I got back on a dating website, and, you know, I ended up meeting this guy. He's so cute. He was my child's father. Who would have knew? So, you know, immediately, I ended up inviting him over. We talked, you know, and, you know, things like hit it off, whatever. But I was dating other guys, but I wasn't having sex with them, you know, like I was just talking to them, you know, we would talk and whatever. But anyways, these are the 2 guys that I was intimate with that year. The one guy, you know, I completely cut him off. I met my child's father on the dating site. And, you know, it's like instant connection, you know. Like a week later, after us talking, I found out that he had like a drinking issue. But, you know, I still was like, but he's really sweet, and, you know, he's sexy, and, you know, he knew how to say the right things. You know, he seemed like he was spiritually in tune, like, you know. But, you know, it just seemed to be like some type of, I don't know. Like, it was just so, like, when we didn't live together and we would text, it would be like, oh, I do miss him. You know, I do miss him. Like, that's my love, you know, this, that, and the third. But when we did, after a year of us, you know, dating or whatever, we did, you know, finally move in together. But before we moved in together, you know, he had financial issues, and I was like, okay, when we move in together, maybe those financial issues will stop because we'll bring our incomes together, and, you know, things will work out. It didn't exactly work out. It didn't work out. Let's just say it didn't work out. Okay. So, you know, we move in together, and as we're together, you would think, hey, he's been paying the bills on his own. If I'm giving you extra money and I'm paying less when I was living on my own, then I would sure enough, you know, think that when we lived together, that you know, we would make more money together. But somehow it stopped. Like, our money pretty much was like drying up. So that right there, I will tell you, is a number one sign that you're not supposed to be with somebody, especially if, you know, you're not putting God first. I kind of can say, like, a lot of my praying and stuff I started to do when me and him were together, instead of having my own relationship with God. And then God pulled me to have my own relationship with him. So I'll tell you how that happened.